I Hate the News is the weekly news bulletin from I Hate Politics podcast, a show about a human activity we love to hate. I'm Sunil Dasgupta. It's December 2nd, 2025. Beset by new state laws and state and city driven lawsuits, Glock, the gun manufacturer, has announced a redesign of its popular pistol that will prevent their easy conversion from semi automatic to fully automatic. Maryland public health officials are warning of diminished flu vaccine uptake as the holiday season is here and risks increase. Maryland announces a rental assistance program for families of students who go to community schools. But what are community schools? And who and what is covered? The Olney area gets a permanent police substation, no longer a trailer in the giant food parking lot. It's Giving Tuesday today, and the combined federal campaign, one of the biggest charity drives, certainly in the Washington, D.C. area, let alone the entire country, has paused nonprofit registration for next year. You can still give this year. And more, stay with us.
I Hate Politics is brought to you by UMBC's Political Science Program, where you'll learn to shape public policy, impact communities, and function at the center of modern society. Learn more at shadygrove.umbc.edu.
You're still on to me when I'm alone, and then I start to feel it creeping up inside. I told myself that this was the last time. I think I'm losing my mind.
I Hate Politics is a podcast about our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools and streets, and our local governments as they function in diverse and democratic societies. This means our politics are messy, dirty, sometimes corrupt, with often self-serving politicians. But no matter how much we may hate politics, we are never exempt from it, even when we refuse to participate. In fact, the purpose of politics is to keep society functioning precisely when we don't agree with each other, like now. Music for this episode comes from Montgomery County native and now DC-based singer-songwriter Kara Levchenko's two new single releases, Animal and Cosmic Love. You can find her and her music at karalevchenko.com. In the 2024 General Assembly session, Maryland passed a law to strip gun manufacturers from immunity accorded to the industry by a 2005 federal law called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, often referred to as PLCA by its initials. But because the law excluded from immunity knowing violations of federal and state law, several states, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Maryland have passed laws to chip away at the gun industry's immunities. Since then, both the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore have sued the Austrian gun manufacturer, Glock, in state courts. Glock is seen to be particularly vulnerable because gun control advocates say the company knew about a small plastic part called the Glock switch gun owners have used to turn the pistol from semi-automatic firing mode to fully automatic. And Glock knowingly persisted with a design that allowed this. Fully automatic Glocks have been used to commit murders. That was a violation of the law, prior knowledge, and specific harm. Glock asked these complaints to be dismissed, but the courts have allowed them to move forward in multiple states. A second lawsuit against Maryland by the National Shooting Sports Foundation was dismissed in October in the Federal District Court in Western Virginia, where the judge ruled that federal courts abstained from interfering in state cases. Also in October, California passed a law that prohibited the sale of guns which could be easily switched to automatic. Senator Jeff Wallstreicher was one of the sponsors of the anti-immunity law in Maryland.
Last year, I was honored to sponsor and author the Gun Industry Accountability Act, and it ends gun industry immunity in Maryland. That bill passed and the governor signed it, and now we're starting to see lawsuits related to that legislation. And that's a good thing. That's what we intended. And surprise, surprise, Glock, in response to those lawsuits, both from Maryland and from other states, is redesigning their firearms to be less uniquely dangerous. And that's a good thing, because the way the firearm was designed previously, it could be turned into an automatic weapon. And that had dire consequences in our community and throughout Maryland.
The redesign that Glock has proposed removes what is called the Glock switch, which turns a semi-automatic pistol into an automatic pistol. Glock has proposed the change. Do you know if they have already gone through it?
Well, we know that Glock has redesigned their product, and we know that the new product is on the market now, and that they've removed from the market the older products that allowed for the Glock switch. So this is the Series 3 and Series 4. Glocks are now off the market, affirmatively discontinued by Glock, and now the Series 5 is on the market. Glock themselves indicates that the new Series 5 handgun is almost impossible to alter with the Glock switch.
Then are they kind of implicitly accepting responsibility for all the guns that are already in the market?
No. Under the American tort system, an improvement to a product is never an admission of liability for previous products, because then that would disincentivize anyone from ever improving their product. So the fact that they've introduced a new handgun doesn't necessarily mean that they are admitting liability in all the cases, nor should it be like that. But from a moral point of view, there's no question what Glock is saying. They are saying in not so many words, our previous products allowed for this Glock switch, and now that we can be held legally liable for those products, we are going to redesign our product to make it a safer product. And that's the outcome we wanted here in Maryland.
What is the state of the lawsuits themselves?
The lawsuits are proceeding apace. So the Maryland lawsuit and the Baltimore City lawsuit are all moving forward. The gun industry attempted to move the lawsuits into federal court, where they thought they would have a better opportunity to have the merits of the case decided in their favor. That move was denied by the federal courts. And so the state-based courts are going to rule on this eventually.
Could Glock still go to the federal courts yet after the decisions from the state courts?
They could certainly attempt to do so, but doing so would require them to make an argument based on federal law. What we have in Maryland is a Maryland state law. And so the Maryland state courts will decide based on Maryland state law. That would limit their ability to move to federal court based on any rulings at the state level.
What other gun manufacturers are also vulnerable in the same way?
Well, it depends on their products. Glock was the worst offender because they have known for years that the Glock switch could be altered in a way that turned their weapons into automatic weapons. And so if there are other manufacturers that have uniquely dangerous products, then I'm sure our Attorney General and our local attorneys in Montgomery County or throughout any jurisdiction in Maryland will bring suit based on those facts.
Jeff Waldstreicher, thank you.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thanksgiving is over, and it is the season of joy and family and friends, and yes, viruses. But where in the past vaccinations were a fall standard, they have since COVID become a political and cultural battleground. And now, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy has further upped the ante, introducing new warnings about the so-called dangers of vaccines. Public health officials around the country have been expecting a decline in vaccine uptake, including for the flu vaccine. Danielle Brown, a health reporter for the state news website Maryland Matters, recently wrote a story about their concerns.
This current flu season is posing to be a real challenge because there's a strain of the flu that's being widely spread in other countries. It's called subclade K. public health officials and researchers have found that the vaccine that was developed for this flu season doesn't quite capture this strain. Now, the vaccine that was developed is still good at defending against some of the other flu strains. It's just the challenges of developing a vaccine ahead of time in the way that we do this is that sometimes the formula isn't the most effective.
If this year's flu vaccine does not include this variant, then it is by definition less effective, and then why should people take it?
There are other flu strains going around, so just because this one is more prominent doesn't mean it's the only one in circulation. Any protection is going to be better, especially when you go into the holidays and trying to protect older family members who might be more vulnerable to severe infection.
They want you to take the vaccine even at the same time as they say that the vaccine this year is not that effective. So it's kind of a balancing act for them. And they'll say, well, it's not as effective, but take it anyway. And people, when they hear that, they kind of lose confidence. And so they go, if it's not effective, why the heck should I take it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's definitely, it adds on to this sort of communication challenges that public health officials have been seeing over the last several years.
What numbers are they giving you on the flu vaccine uptake?
For the current season, we're seeing vaccination rate peaked in early October at 170,000. Last year, they were showing that the vaccinations were peaking at 180,000 per week.
What are the numbers with the COVID vaccine? Are they released now?
What I'm seeing is, late September, we were seeing about 60,000 vaccinations for COVID a week. And that's sort of been trickling down. Since then, this past week, it looks like about 15,000 vaccinations occurred.
Are there any hotspots in the state, suburban Washington, Baltimore City, maybe, any regions where they are seeing more flu?
We're not quite seeing that yet. Overall, there's low respiratory activity in Maryland at the moment. What public health officials are anticipating is as people are traveling within the next couple of weeks, a lot of people just came back from Thanksgiving travel and visiting their families. With additional travel coming up for the end of the year, respiratory illness activity is going to increase. We're not seeing any major hotspots yet, and fortunately there is not too many emergency department visits right now regarding COVID, RSV, the flu, but there is anticipation that the flu season, the respiratory illness season is going to peak within the next couple of weeks.
Be careful for the holidays, folks.
Absolutely.
Danielle Brown, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Community schools is a designation that comes from the education legislation called the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which has sought to increase financial support for the neediest schools in the state. The schools are identified by their concentrations of poverty. There is a formula. And they receive extra money to hire a coordinator of services and a healthcare worker. They may also receive direct services such as mental health, academic, and out-of-school time. In Montgomery County, 78 schools of its 211 are designated as community schools. In Prince George's County, 148 out of 200 schools are designated community schools. In Montgomery, most of the schools on the list are elementary and middle, only 4 high schools. The Prince George's list includes 15 high schools. Any way you cut it, that's a significant part of the total enrollment in both counties. The situation is similar in other jurisdictions in the state. A 2025 state law extended support for rental assistance, utility arrears, moving expenses, and even court costs to families of students enrolled in community schools who are renting their homes and facing eviction or homelessness. The program was limited to 8 counties: Anne Arundel, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Frederick County, Montgomery, Prince George's, Washington, and Wycomico. The Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, DHCD, the nodal agency for the effort, has been working on the support infrastructure since May. By the time the governor's announcement came November 26th, the counties had already began accepting applications, and as of December 1st, Anne Arundel and Prince George's counties were only waitlisting new applications. The link to the Baltimore City program on the DHCD website led instead to Frederick County's program. And generally, it was hard to find the actual application. The Washington County link included a Maryland-wide DHCD application, but it is unclear if other counties require their own special application forms. Wycomico, for example, certainly does. The governor's announcement reported that the state had allocated $50 million for the community schools' rental assistance programs, among other types of support. But it is unclear what of this money is new and what is repurposed from previous efforts. Even at $50 million, given the wait lists already in place, counties and DHCD will have to prioritize the most urgent cases, which is another level of analysis that governments have usually not been good at. For those who can get the support, it could mean home or homelessness in this holiday season.
It's in your nature, baby, should've known. I thought I loved you, but I didn't know how. Think you've been lying to me all this time. Thought I could catch you in the crowd.
The Combined Federal Campaign is a charity program that solicits donations from federal employees for a multitude of nonprofits. Federal employees can contribute a set amount from their regular paychecks and designate that money to go to their favorite charity on the approved list. It is one of the largest charity drives in the country, and the program is managed by the Office of Personnel Management in the Executive Office. The appeal of the Combined Federal Program has declined in the last several years because of mismanagement and competition from other publicly available giving tools. Each year, at the start of the giving season, the Office of Personnel Management opens the process for charities to list themselves on the Combined Federal Campaign list for the next year. This week, they were supposed to open the process for the 2026 giving season. But the Office of Personnel Management announced last week that they are taking a pause. They said, and I quote, "Since the CFC program is under review, OPM will not open the charity application system December 1st. OPM will notify charities, federations, and stakeholders if and when a determination is made to accept new applications." The growing area of Olney in Montgomery County has not had its own police station. They are served by District 4 out of Wheaton, Glenmont. When Olney's growth started to pick up in the 1990s, the local Chamber of Commerce lobbied for a new station and ended up in 1998 with a trailer in the parking lot of Giant Food, where police officers from District 4 working in Olney would do their paperwork and eat lunch. Until now, state legislators from District 14, which includes Olney, have secured capital funding to start the planning and execution for a new permanent police substation in Olney. Many steps still to go, but the Olney substation will be the only one in Montgomery County now. At one time, the county used to have as many as 5.
I don't care if silence playing games today, but it ain't fair. The thought of you takes me away. Now I need air. Yeah, I think I got lost in my head again. Baby girl.
That's all for this episode. Be sure to check out our feature interview series that comes out Friday mornings. I Hate Politics is produced by me, Sunil Dasgupta, with support from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I direct UMBC's political science program at the universities of Shady Grove in Montgomery County, where, among other things, we explore and learn about politics, government, and society close to home. Music for this episode comes from Montgomery County native and now DC-based singer-songwriter Kara Levchenko's two new single releases, Animal and Cosmic Love. You can find her and her music at karalevchenko.com. If you want to share your music on the show or know someone else who might want to, please email us at producer@ihppod.org. I hope you will subscribe and share the podcast as we bring you stories about politics close to you and to your home. See you next time.
Yeah, read the signs, it feels like perfect timing. Got this love is shining. Pardon me, it feels like we can use a little TLC. Start over and heal everything we believe in. Get free on my knees. Yeah, that's when the stars align just for me. It's like I woke from a dream this time. It's like I waited for you all my life. Yet I'm thinking about what